welcome to another jam-packed action edition of the end of the night. I am a sad Bengal fan, so please forgive me. I'm actually really a Jet fan, but
hey, there's still 3 seconds left.
Being a Jet fan is literally not like watching a professional football team, so you have to find a football team that you could latch onto when you are a Jet fan. And when I was a kid, I was a big Boomer Esiason fan because he was from East Islip, which was kind of close to my house. And when I was little, I used to collect Topps football cards. And on each Topps football card, they had a picture of team helmets on them. And I always thought the Bengal helmet with that like fiery red with those black stripes were really cool looking. So that's what sold me. With that being said, Mr. Ridgely, how are you?
Well, I am trying. 3 seconds left.
Yes. Good evening, Ken. I hope you are well. We had a great show last week.
An excellent show last week.
Absolutely wonderful guest. We have a great author and a dear friend of mine, Daniel Volpe, will be joining us in just a few minutes. I'm actually watching the Bengals. There you go. The season's over. Well, we tried. It sucks being a Bengal fan.
Sucks being a Jets fan. Sucks being
it sucks being anything but I guess like a Kansas City or I guess a Philadelphia fan this year.
Yeah, if I hear one more person say fly, no, never mind.
So how are you feeling, my friend? You were a little under the weather last week.
I am feeling better, thank you. The shit's still sitting right in the center of my chest on week 2, which has got me annoyed. But
and what exactly did you wind up having?
I don't know. I can't imagine it's COVID, but whatever it is, it's not friendly.
Oh, my apologies. I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Thank you.
With that being said, why don't you tell us a little bit of what we have going on the Indie Escape Network, because I know there's a whole bunch of really cool shit going on, and tell us about that wonderful company that your beautiful wife and daughter have cooking.
I would love to. Thank you. Let's start with that. That would be Hearts of the Mystic Folk. They're scented wax melts and wickless candles, room sprays, and they're getting all the crystals and sage, and I forget what you call the stuff that you burn in the house to ward off evil spirits and stuff. That stuff.
There you go. In my house they call that gin.
In my house we call that weed.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But also, we have the premiere of Wendy's show on Thursday night.
Oh, sweet. I can't wait. Wendy, who's a regular on this show, is an extraordinarily funny and super talented individual. Do you know who our first guest is, or is she just going to kind of go guestless?
I think they're going to go guestless the first show. It's going to be the 3 of them. It's Wendy and her 2 co-hosts. And again, I'm a little scared because I know what she wants to do. And I don't know if 10 o'clock is late enough.
There you go. She asked me to be, as you know, everybody knows I'm a dear friend of Wendy's, and she asked me if I would be a guest, and I said sure, but I'm kind of scared, to be honest with you. But with that being said, everybody has to check it. Any show that gives people the feeling that you might have to be scared is probably a show well worth watching, because that's what makes everything good. Hi, Ryan. I hope you're well, pal. So tonight we have a big show. Daniel Volpe will be on. He's a wonderful horror writer and just a great guy. I don't know what's going on the network. Is anything else happening of any great note?
Well, Generation Movie is wrapping up their James Bond-a-thon, and they got some pretty exciting stuff happening after that. And also, we have our network shows pretty much. We may be missing 1 or 2. One that you so graciously sent over to me.
Oh, sweet.
Freaking cat. No, sorry, the cat startled me.
Are we going to have a Joe Cat sighting tonight? Is he going to pop on screen by any chance?
I hope not.
So how is it down in Florida? Is it nice and sunny and beautiful, or is it cold and wintry?
It is 69 degrees with no humid. No humidity. Wow. I'm learning to speak today.
No, you're in Florida. You said there's no humans. I understand.
Yes.
No, I like my shirt. It kind of matches what like goes right into the
Is there something on it?
Oh, no. It's just the right color. It kind of goes right into our background.
I dig it.
I guess you don't see it.
I do.
It must be a me thing.
First of all.
I was wearing my Bengal red tonight, hoping that the Bengals would come back.
Bengal red. Okay. I didn't know there was such a thing. I thought it was Bengal orange.
Do you think that's orange? Maybe I'm just old and can't see it.
I'm colorblind.
Are you really?
I'm literally colorblind the colors of the traffic light.
Oh, wow. That sucks. So what do? You just go by knowing where they are on the...
Well, yeah, I mean, after all these years, I have more problems with like component cables that are green, blue, and red.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue where to plug them in.
I hear you. Well, with that being said, let's bring our cohort in crime, our third of our three amigo group here, our brother from another mother, the man we affectionately call, the man we love, Grunkle Scott Schiaffo. Hi,
What's
Grunkle
up?
Scott. How are you, pal?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good. I'm digging this whole new vibe you got going on. It seems like you've moved locations to where you usually do the show.
Yeah, it's been a while actually, but I'm here in the River Edge digs. So after I got sick in November, hey, I kind of was the thing that wouldn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go back. Well, I was going back and forth each day. I had my routine, Carrie and I, looking after her mom. And I just said, you know what? For the fall and winter, I'm just gonna stay and not go back and forth.
I know that you have a whole bunch of cool shit going on. Why don't you lay on everybody, or you have some con business going on?
Well, yeah,
You're a con man.
Con man. There is Pensacon in Pensacola at the end of next month, which is really exciting. I've never been to Florida, and the guest list is insane. You got to check it out. And then in April, I believe it is April, I'm finally going to Canada, God willing. You let me in. So we'll see. But
I am going to literally drive up to the border and have A, bail money, and B, a full tank of gas, just in case anything goes horribly wrong. Not that anything ever went horribly wrong in the past, mind you.
No, never.
Just in case anything goes horribly wrong. I wanted to ask you, Scott, what did you think of our guest last week, Fred? It's funny because I went back and looked at his resume.
Holy crap! What a resume!
And all the amazing things he was involved in, and some really juicy parts, and what a wonderfully gracious guy he was for how much he accomplished. I didn't get to talk to you much since last week. What did you think of him, Scott?
Well, I think I geeked out afterwards as well when I went upstairs to talk to Jewel about it. She had been watching some of it, but I hadn't done a lot of homework. I did a little bit of homework, and I had no idea either just how profound his career is in terms of his character acting. He's been doing it and in a billion amazing, cool things, and such as humble. What a humble guy! What a sweet, very intelligent cat, and cool, really cool history. With the voiceovers for quite a while, where he got comfortable in the voiceover world, and then he got a chapter 2, so to speak, where he started getting a lot of character roles as an older guy. Just really cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if anybody hasn't given it a chance yet, check out the Mysterious Benedict Society on Disney Plus. It is just a fantastic show, and it's very, very, very kind of surreal, and it's not extraordinarily fast paced, but it's very, very smart and very cool. Was there a show that he was on HBO that you were talking about that has Fonzie in it?
There is.
Oh! He was in Barry.
Barry, yes.
Is that a TV show or is that a movie?
No, that's a series. That's with Bill Hader. Okay. They're on season 3. They're going into season 4. Well, we love that show. I think you would like it too. Hader plays a a reluctant hitman, and he goes to L.A. and he hides out in acting classes, and turns out he really starts to enjoy acting. And our guy is in that with. That's a great cast too. And what's nuts is I had seen him, didn't even realize it. That's how you know somebody's got a really sweet acting, character acting career.
Mm-hmm.
There he is on the show, and I had been watching him, and I didn't even realize that, it was like awesome.
Have you guys seen the new Night Court?
I have.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, before we touch on that, may I just add, I really wanted to be there last week for that particular episode, and I think about it. The guy hit his stride in his 50s. So
I know,
guy
52 is hope
50.
for me.
So I mean, so don't get discouraged, everybody out there. I mean, come on.
No, just keep plucking away. And I mean, the guy is in all these great television series. He's now a part of the MCU lore for being in WandaVision. That's pretty fantastic. In his 50s, hope absolutely can. So, Joe, what do you think of the new Night Court?
There was a lot of nostalgia. My wife asked me what I thought of it before she watched it, and I said it was cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun, nostalgic. I miss Harry.
Yeah, me too. You know what's funny? I never watched Big Bang Theory at all. My mother-in-law loved it, and she would come in when she was over the house and watch it. And I always thought that I think her name was Melissa Rauch. Is that correct?
Yes.
I always thought Melissa Rauch was super hot on that show. I loved the glasses and the big rack and the hair pulled back. I thought it was just fantastic. And as the judge, it doesn't even look like it's the same actress. It's kind of cool. I mean, she's still adorable. She's a beautiful young lady.
Right.
But it's just it's kind of because I guess she also put on a voice on that show too. That she does
right. Yeah. She gets that mousy voice occasionally on Night Court. The same squeaky.
Squeaky clean. Well, with that being said, let us welcome to our broadcast tonight our featured guest, a wonderful young man, a great writer, a dear friend of mine, and I'm super excited to have him on the show. We're going to be at a gig next Saturday. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Mr. Daniel Volpe. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you, everybody?
Hanging in there. What's the good word?
Oh, nothing much. Just hanging out in my freezing cold basement here in my lair down here.
Your evil lair? Is that where you concoct all your evil schemes?
It is. It is.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So, are you a football fan?
I haven't watched it in quite a while, but I do follow along here and there. I unfortunately grew up a Jets fan as well, being from the area we live in, and after years of torment, I just kind of threw in the towel.
That's why you have that look of despair and
yes.
And, I'm right there with you, brother. I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
Mets and Jets. So,
what do you think? Have you saw the new Night Court?
No, I never saw the old Night Court. So, no, I think that may have been a little before my time. So I'm not. I remember maybe my grandparents may have watched it, but
you had to go all the way back to your grandparents.
Really? I mean, you couldn't start with your parents and then
Night Court. I mean,
where do you find these guys?
You know what's funny? You know what's funny that he brings that up is that Night Court is one of the ones that didn't seem to have a big syndication run like all of the Family Ties and Cheers and Seinfeld. They all got incredible syndication runs, but I don't remember ever watching Night Court on syndication. Do you?
No, I think it didn't get a lot of exposure that way. It may have for a very short period at one point, but it's still back in the heyday of when network television was ruled the world long before streaming.
Oh, yeah. David, you know what you need to do? Get Ray back on the show. Ask him.
Yes, because he was on the original Night Court. I will do that.
Did I throw you off there? I'm sorry.
Yes, you did.
I'm
I'm sitting here with a piece of plastic on my finger like a schmuck today. I don't know why. I'm very like.
It's because the Bengals lost.
It's because the Bengals lost. It's one of the rare occasions that my daughter didn't come home from college this weekend, so I don't have to get up at 4:00 in the morning and drive her back to Massachusetts.
So we can keep David up till 3 a.m. Let's
keep
do
David
this.
up till 3 a.m. Daniel's like, I hope we don't do that. I don't want to be on with this schmuck. So Dan, we have something cooking next Saturday. You're coming out to that, right?
I am, yeah. Frank Edler invited me out, and I graciously accepted. I was very happy to be invited. Looking forward to it.
Yep, we're doing I could tell you if you're in New Jersey, myself, pop culture icon Brian O'Halloran's coming out, Dan's coming out, and Tom Edler, who's on our show, is coming out. We're doing a Halloween horror con right across the street from the Starland Ballroom in New Jersey. It's Sayreville, correct?
Sayreville, yep.
Yeah, in Sayreville, New Jersey, next Saturday from 12 to 6 if you want to come out and throw pieces of bologna at Mr. O'Halloran. That would be fun. Frank, never heard of her. Neither have I. She's very effeminate, that Franklin Edler. We actually also want to dedicate this program to the great April Kroll, who made an amazing impact on all of us. But that's neither here. And Daniel has no idea what I'm talking about.
No. Sorry.
So Dan, I'm going to start interviewing you like I should instead of trying to kill time like a big stupid schmuck. When did you know that you wanted to become an author?
It's going to be very, very cliche, but I've always been like a natural storyteller ever since I was a kid. And I just love to tell stories. And I just started writing them down. Even I remember my dad, he was, when I was a kid, he was an insurance salesman. And he had an old gigantic laptop. And I used to, when he got a new one, I used to take that and sit there and write stories and save them on floppy disks and have him print them out for me. And I still have some of them. So ever since I was really little, I loved writing, and I hope one day I could do it for a living, and every sale I make gets me closer to that dream.
Awesome. Now, who is your biggest inspiration as a writer?
Author-wise, it's kind of another cliche thing, but I think for a lot of us, it was Stephen King. And the main reason for that is, again, go back to my dad. He was working midnights a lot, and he would read on an overnight shift, and he'd come home, and the books would be laying out on the table, and a lot of times it was Stephen King. And even from a young age, I was always kind of fascinated with it. And, my parents weren't really too strict on what I read. So I started reading as much as I could I was pretty much 10, 11 years old when I started reading more adult books and got past the Goosebumps stuff. So R.L. Stine and Stephen King, probably the two biggest influences there.
So I'm curious about something, if I may. So Stephen King and there's a prequel coming to HBO Max. What are your feelings on that?
I'm excited. It's some of his films. Obviously, some of them are better than others. I like the original It. I like the new one as well. But again, it is not even my favorite Stephen King book. I kind of lost me towards the end. And Stephen King can write a great story. He's sometimes can't write a great ending. And I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm a Stephen King fan through and through. So I'm reading Fairy Tale right now, and it's excellent. And most of these books over there, those are mostly all Stephen King. Some of them you can see, but some of them you can't. I probably have almost everyone he's written.
Sweet. Now, we know that you're here to promote. You have a new book that it dropped today, right, or just recently?
Yesterday. Yep,
yesterday.
Yesterday.
We will talk all about that towards the end of the interview. But tell us a little bit about some of the books that you've written in the past.
So I just published my 10th book yesterday. I write very, very quickly, and a lot of my books are very short. So I'm a big novella fan. So most of my books, probably 75% of them, are around 40,000 words. So that's roughly 200-ish pages. I stay mostly in the extreme horror splatterpunk kind of realm. And for those of you that don't really know what that is, it's more of like a hardcore horror. So when you think of reading a scary story, sometimes the authors will kind of cut some of the blood, guts, and sex out of it. I don't. I elaborate on it. So you're going to know all the ins and outs of everything. people don't die nicely, and in my books, I show all the graphic detail. So I started really publishing in the end of 2020, and I know 2020 was a rough year for a lot of people, but for me, I was able to. I had a lot of free time, like a lot of people did, and I've really started focusing on writing some long fiction horror. And the Facebook groups I joined were really supportive. And in November of 2020, I put out my first self-published book, and that was called Billy Silver. And that was just a short little, like 26,000 word novella about a heroin addict that falls on some really, really hard times and does some very desperate things, and takes a pretty wild turn.
That's sweet. You know, it's funny. I just got inspired for the first time. It was all because of how unbelievably popular the new Terrifier movie was. And I wanted to write my first really hardcore script. And I wrote my very first hardcore script. And I'm going to just run this by you guys and see what you think. It's called Dynamite Baby. And it's about a middle-aged guy who kidnaps infants. And then he places them on tree stumps in his backyard, straps dynamite to them, and live streams them exploding. I guess that was a bit too
There's something wrong with you, brother.
Dynamite Baby. It's like the greatest title for that movie.
Frank Edler has a book called Exploding Bears, so I mean that's almost there.
And there's a cocaine bear.
There's a
Cocaine
bear. You know what? I thought
that today. That's pretty wild, man. I think that sadly we live in a time where like nothing's too shocking.
No.
Yeah, no, I thought that was. I mean, it seems like you really have to go over. Waste of. There you go. It seems you really have to shock and awe people these days to get anything.
Yeah.
Are the characters in your books inspired by real life people?
Some of them are. Sometimes it's easier to take reality and turn that into fiction than to create all new people. So with one of my books, Plastic Monsters, it's about body image, and I took some of the girls I went to high school with and just changed their names and made them into some of the characters. And it was just very easy because my wife and I actually went to the same high school together. So I was like, hey, what do you think about this person being a character? She's like, oh yeah, go ahead. That'd be good. And, she read some of it and she's like, oh, you definitely captured how they were in school and whatnot. So, yeah, sometimes it's just easier just to take somebody that you know and kind of turn them into a character. And some people request it. I have a lot of fans and readers, family members that are like, hey, can you put me into a book? And actually, when we talk about the new book, I'll go more into that.
No, absolutely.
Was Billy Silvers somebody that you knew?
No, it was just really just a lot of stuff I'd been seeing in the news about the opioids and reading up on certain things. I read a book, I think it was called Dreamland, and it was about the opioid epidemic in America. And it kind of just really opened my eyes to it. And I just started researching it. And that book, actually, I had a few readers reach out to me that were former addicts and just saying how accurate it was and, how I portrayed the characters was, done properly and done well, and fun book.
There's something that always occurred to me about authors, and I always wanted to ask one. After you write a book, do you ever think about what happens to your characters after that story is told?
What's funny about that is I do, and sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. And sometimes it's my readers that are wondering. So my new book, Talia, the second Talia 2 that's out, the first book, Talia, which I have here, this is the original one. This nice young lady licking this razor blade. That's Talia. So she is actually a supporting character in Billy Silver. And after I wrote Billy Silver, a lot of my readers were like, wow, she's a really cool character. Like, what's her story? And I'm like, I don't really know. And like, man, it'd be really cool to have her own book. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, man, it would be cool. And it just took off. And now that's my bestseller, is that first Talia book.
Mm-hmm. What does literary success mean to you? What is it? Where do you want to ultimately go?
Honestly, I'm having success right now. Like, it's if I can write, have fun, feel like a job, and for people to read it and enjoy it, to me, that's success. Like, yes, I would love to have J.K. Rowling money or Stephen King money and live in a scary mansion and with bats and stuff. But the fact that people message me and tell me that, hey, my book, not so much changed their lives, but just maybe distracted them from their daily life, really touched them in a certain way or scared them, which is always a plus. To me, that's success. Like just to share it and let people enjoy reading.
Do you feel like you have any interesting writing quirks?
No, I mean, I'm pretty regimented. Like I write almost every Monday through Friday. I get up at 5 a.m. and I sit at the computer for about 45 minutes before I got to go to work. And that's pretty much it. Like I sit on the couch, my laptop, and my dog's sitting there, and I just write and just consistency.
No, that's awesome. I mean, my daughter, who's only 19 years old, and she's going to college as we speak to become a writer. And she really, you were very nice to her that day at the.
Oh, she was a sweetheart. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being so kind to her. She probably will reach out to you and pick your brain as she goes on.
I'm here for
it. She's literally every moment of her day, she has a tablet, and she just sits there, and I don't know if you guys remember the Fokker movie when the airline stewardess was typing in the computer like a million miles an hour. It's literally what she does, and it just mystifies me because I'm such a fucking buffoon, and she's so brilliant, and I have no idea how you guys do it. It's really unbelievable. It's you guys who write astound me. Do you ever have really bad writer's block?
No, knock on wood, I really don't because I have so many ideas that I generally don't get writer's block. When I'm planning a book, I find that outlining really, really helps me because it gives me like a roadmap. So if I have to stop writing one book to go work on another, contractual project or something, I can kind of pick up right where I left off and just keep going. And if I like the story, I want to finish it. So it really doesn't block me. And I keep, just like everybody else, I have my phone next to me at all times and I keep notes on that. So I have just a myriad of things to choose from. So if one thing is kind of getting me down, I might jump to something else.
Do you have a favorite underappreciated author or book that you could share with us?
I don't know about underappreciated, maybe in the mainstream world, because most people haven't really read this guy, and he's been around since I think the late '80s. So that's got to be Edward Lee. Edward Lee is a big influence in my writing as well because I never realized you could write hardcore horror. Like I didn't know that was a thing until 15 years ago, maybe, because I grew up just reading like Stephen King, Dean Koontz, John Saul, the kind of mainstream horror. And then I start reading Edward Lee. Edward Lee's like one of the godfathers of splatterpunk and extreme horror. And once I started reading his books, I was like, holy shit. I was like, you can write like this and actually make money. People read this. And so I wish more people would read him. And not only does he write some hardcore stuff, but he writes some really great literary stuff. The guy is brilliant, very, very, very humble, nice guy, down to earth. Like I said, he's been writing for almost as long as I've been alive, and he still will email me, and we just kind of shoot the shit here and there. And so if you're into kind of more the mainstream horror, you might want to stay away from some of the Ed Lee stuff, but he's got a couple of his old leisure books that are a little more tame.
When you're writing a book, what part do you find to be the hardest to write? The beginning, the middle, or the end?
Probably for me, it's probably that middle portion, only because a lot of middles that's where like the meat and potatoes are, like where things start to kind of bog down. Like the beginning is fun. It's new, it's fresh, it's exciting, and you get to play with your shiny new toys and get your characters out there. And then in the middle, it's like, all right, now I got to set the backstory for everything, kind of show the reader why we're here. And then the end is just fun because usually the end is batshit crazy and you can just, you're getting right to that culmination. And so for me, it's definitely the middle.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because when I write a screenplay, I always have like the great idea of what the film is ultimately going to be about. And then I put it on paper, and it turns out to be like between 70 and 80 pages. And then when you read a screenplay, you need at least 90 pages because it generally goes to about a minute per page when you're translating it to film, and you want to have your feature film at least 90 minutes long. And when you put all this down on paper, and then you literally have to kind of find some fluff that literally works within the confines of a screenplay, it's extraordinarily frustrating. But when you get it, when you do it and you get it to work properly, it's really, really rewarding, because then your whole thing ultimately comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try to keep the fluff out of my books, which is probably why they're so much shorter than a mainstream, doorstop of a book. But I have a low attention span sometimes. So like I want to just get into the books. I want to get to the good part, and I want to read through the good stuff and, cut out all the little BS things. So that's kind of one of the reasons why my books, I think, stay so short, is because that's what I like to read. I want it to be fast paced and at your throat from the beginning.
What do you find to be one of the most unethical parts of the publishing industry?
There's a lot of like vanity presses. I think they've kind of gone by the wayside. For those people that don't know, a vanity press is essentially a little publisher that will charge you to publish your book. So they'll say, oh, for a fee, we'll edit your book. And, we have this many fake reviewers and readers and stuff, and we'll provide you with the cover and all this, all the other intricate stuff. When a legitimate publisher will do all that for you. If they believe in your work, they will publish it for you. They will absorb all the costs. Sometimes there will be an advance. They'll even give you an advance. But a vanity press, I think that's one of the most unethical things that somebody could do, is just trying to take advantage of new writers.
Does writing energize you or exhaust you?
No, I love it. It's like I said, I've been doing it forever, and I get excited every day to get up and sit down and kind of see what's going to come out of my head. Like some days I'll start writing and I'm like, holy shit, that was a good idea. Like I didn't expect that. And it's just, I just kind of let the story go and let it take over.
How do you feel when you read, and this is something as a filmmaker, I literally, and this is no exaggeration, I have literally read over 10,000 nasty fucking reviews about my work on everything from Redbox to IMDb to if you make a movie, it's literally like people have a license to shit on your parade.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, how do you deal with negative feedback?
I just don't. I really don't. I don't really address it. I mean, if they're attacking me personally, maybe I will, but a lot of times I just ignore them. I do a podcast with some of my other buddies, and we have a saying, like, don't feed the trolls. Like there's no fights are won on the internet, and it's their opinion at the end of the day. And I've had people legitimately upset and said, hey, I really didn't like this, and I apologize. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry you spent your money and you didn't enjoy this, and I hope you're willing to give me another chance. But people who attack me personally, I just pretty much ignore them.
Yeah, I mean, it's I actually, the day my film came out, Mr. Hush, there was Ain't It Cool News was a really big at that time. And then the reviewer of Ain't It Cool News, my film came out the same day as Cabin in the Woods, which was a big Chris Hemsworth horror film that they think they spent like $45 million on. And my film had like a $45 budget, so it was totally... But the most interesting thing Ain't It Cool News could say about my little horror film was it was not as good as Cabin in the Woods. And I was like, dude, do you really... do you understand the difference in what the two are supposed to be doing and what, the level of storytelling are? It's just really, it blows my mind. What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment as a writer so far?
I've got to interact with some legendary writers, and I've had 3 of them actually give me very gracious blurbs. So I think those are probably my biggest accomplishments. I've won an award for one of my novels, and I really appreciate it because it was voted on by readers, not even just peers. It was voted on by readers. But for 3 of my books, I had Edward Lee, like I said, who's like a literary icon to me. Ronald Kelly, who's another one who's been writing since the 1980s, back in the Zebra paperback days. And then Brian Keene, who is, he's kind of like a generation or 2 before me. It started in like the early 2000s, but he's risen to success. And all three of those great writers have, taken kindly to me and my work and given me very nice blurbs and words of encouragement. And they really paid it forward.
My daughter just Facebook IM me. She has a question for you.
Uh,
Do you have any tips for aspiring writers?
Read a lot, read often, and pretty much write everything down. There's no bad ideas. If you start writing something and you're like, this doesn't work, you got practice out of it. I have probably 6 completed novels that will never see the light of day. Some of them are fantasy, some of them are steampunk, because I'm a big nerd with all that stuff too. And they were great practice novels, but they'll never see the light of day. So read a lot, write a lot.
Whoa, wait a minute. Why won't they see the light of day?
They're just bad. Like
Okay.
they're just really bad. Like it was me kind of just stretching my legs and seeing if I could write a full length novel, and I did. Some of it was for National Novel Writing Month, so I was really working on it with another writing group. And I grew up loving fantasy and science fiction stuff as well. So I felt I could write a longer piece of work with those.
So do you think you could tweak them and actually make the... Well, we lost David.
Oh my God. The rails are coming off.
So you think you could tweak those and make them see the light of day? Or is it something you're just kind of brushing under the carpet?
Yeah, no, I think I'm just going to probably leave them where they are. They were fun to do, and they would need so much work that I'd have to completely rewrite them. And right now, my focus is elsewhere, with horror especially. Like I said, they were great for practice, and I had a blast doing them, but I don't think they'll ever see the light of day.
So I see a trend going on right now with writers and making their way into movies and TV. What is your opinion on maybe something you wrote? Would you be okay with the studio's gender swapping or race swapping or things like that?
Absolutely. And I think Stephen King actually said it, where they were talking about some of his films or films that are based on his books. And he said, this isn't my book. He's like, this is their film. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, because I would love to see somebody else's interpretation of some of my work and, maybe their take on it. And I have no idea how to do any kind of filmmaking, screenwriting, or screenplays or anything like that. So it'd be really cool to see that done and just see what things had to be cut, what things had to be added. It would just be very interesting, but I would be 100% okay if they had to mix things up and, for the sake of the film.
I want to apologize to all of you. I disappeared for a moment. I guess it's the 99-cent internet that I have up here in the mountains of Pennsylvania. Was I in the middle of a sentence, or did I just poof?
I don't know. We just went in takeover mode.
There you go. It's my Apple computer just froze up right before show there, Joe.
That's why I don't use those.
No, it's a Joe one. Right. This is Joe's head. This is a Joe. Ooh.
Yeah, not really. But
I
anyway.
apologize for that, Dan. So, Dan, tell us all about your new book that just came out yesterday.
So this is a sequel to my bestseller there. This is Talia 2, the Halls of Blood. And so Talia is my main character. And the interesting thing and why I love the horror community so much is this woman who is the model of Talia is actually one of my readers. Her name is Charlie. She lives up in Canada. And she is just a phenomenal supporter of independent horror. And when I wrote this book, I knew I wanted to do something a little different for the cover. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'm willing to pay for it, whatever you want. If you're willing to get some pictures taken of you in this kind of attire, maybe holding this razor blade, that'd be great. And then I could pass it all along to my cover artist and he can digitally enhance everything. And she was honored and ecstatic to do it. And that's why I love the horror community. So Talia 2 follows the story of my main character, Talia. And Talia is kind of like this vengeance brought to life, kind of. So in the first book, she is a young lady who travels to New York City in the early 90s with hopes of becoming an actress. She gets roped into some illicit movies, some porn, pretty much, which ends up turning into snuff films. She ends up crossing these individuals and they pretty much kill her. And while she's dying, a mysterious man approaches her, and he pretty much starts almost vomiting fire onto her, and she's reborn into this vengeance.
Wow.
Yes. So obviously, as you can see in the cover of the first one, it's her with this shaving razor to her tongue, and obviously that's not causing her any distress because she's clearly enjoying it. That's kind of her signature weapon. No, Frank, I don't think Talia ever watched Night Court.
Really, Frank?
I love Frank.
You know, you
Maybe
guys
it's the
complain
90s.
about me blowing up infants, and you got chicks getting fire spit on them and doing porn. You
Oh,
guys...
there's worse things than that in that book. But she's essentially this avenging kind of woman. And in book 2, it's like I said, I'm a big fan of like 80s horror and stuff, and I love kind of the vengeance. And the book 2 is kind of like a slasher with her coming back for another run at some more bad guys in this small town that kind of have it in their grips, and she's sent there to clean up the mess.
Awesome.
So she came out of Billy Silver's book?
Yep. So in Billy Silver, she's actually a tattoo artist, and Billy is a very, very bad guy, and she's again sent to exact vengeance on people, and she ends up giving Billy Silver a tattoo, which is not really a spoiler because it's on the back, and the tattoo replaces his heroin addiction with an addiction for pain and like self-mutilation. So he starts just going down this really depraved path of hurting himself, hurting others. So it gets pretty wild.
You know what's the beautiful irony of this? In about 20 years, I'll be talking to you, and you'll tell me I just wrote my 10th Hallmark movie.
Follow the money, I guess.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, I got a question for Daniel. For you, what is your ultimate goal as a writer? Is it to get a TV series, a movie, a graphic novel, or just everybody read your book?
I guess it's kind of a little bit of everything. Like, obviously, I do this to make money as well. Like, it is fun to do. I would still be writing if I wasn't making any money. I've been doing it since I was a kid, not getting paid shit. Now I'm actually starting to get paid, so that's great. I love to see the translation into film. A mini series would be awesome, but a short film, even a small, like 15, 20-minute kind of thing. 2 years ago, I went to the New Jersey HorrorCon, and there was a film festival. And I got to meet some of the actors and directors and stuff, and it was really a great time. I do love seeing that translation. So I think having a film made of one of my books would be really, really great. And I actually had some ideas of like a combination kind of thing with film and story going together with like a book.
Very cool.
Scott Travis is asking, does she earn points after completing the vengeance? I don't know what he means, but maybe you do.
Not so much points, but she's got a job to do, and she's rewarded with completing some of her we'll say missions, I guess.
She's a badass bitch.
Oh yeah. She's I've had a lot of female readers, and sometimes it's difficult to write the opposite sex, but I've had a lot of female readers tell me that I've done a good job with portraying, Talia and some other female characters, which was really great because I didn't want to seem stereotypical or anything like that. And Talia she's a badass. Like, she doesn't fuck around, and she'll cut your dick off with a razor. So
sounds like something that would be on Wendy's show.
Wendy's show, yes. Oh shit.
Go ahead, Scott. You look like you had a question.
No, I very, very much admire writers. I think it takes a lot of patience and a lot of, I can't even speak, let alone write. It takes a lot of work. I've seen screenwriting friends pretty much lose their mind writing and rewriting and writing and rewriting and writing. I really have a lot of respect for writers.
Dan, if you were going to step away from doing horror for just one book, what do you think you would write?
Fantasy.
A fantasy?
Oh yeah, definitely fantasy.
Fantasy realism or like sci-fi fantasy?
No, like sword and sorcery, like fun wizards and
Nice.
stuff. Yeah, definitely like sword and sorcery, but it'd definitely be very violent, very violent. But yeah, I would definitely write fantasy.
Like when it comes to those types of films, that the fantasy violent, what would you tell me? What would you say pops off the screen to you? What film in that realm do you like? Not book, film.
Mm.
I'm trying to place where you're going with that.
I'm trying to think of. I mean, I've watched the original, like Conan and stuff, with Schwarzenegger and stuff like those are always just super violent. But I mean, I do like the sword and sorcery stuff, like Lord of the Rings. I mean, film. I guess it's not really a film, but like Game of Thrones. Like, I love Game of Thrones. I love all the books. Just very, very more based in reality than magic. But I haven't really watched much else. I'm trying to think if there's anything else like Neverending Story. I mean, that's not violent at all, but I love Neverending Story as a kid. So
Never ending. I don't remember Never. Is that the one with Is that the one that they have in Stranger Things?
I think so. It's with Artax and the Luck Dragon and everything.
Is that like a big furry doggy guy who flies?
Yes,
Yes,
that's the
yeah.
Luck Dragon.
The Luck Dragon.
And the guy's horse friggin' come on, David.
Yeah,
You got to know that never-ending story.
No, dude. When I was a kid, the movie for me was Dragon Slayer with a very, very young Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's what Scott said, Dragon Slayer.
And Michelle Pfeiffer and Matthew Broderick. And was Christopher Walken in that one, Scott?
Dragon
It's
Slayer.
not coming to me now. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't even realize Broderick was in it.
Yeah, no, Dragon Slayer, wasn't that Chris? I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Are you thinking about Dennis
Chris
Quaid?
McNichol?
No, he wasn't Chris McNichol. Dragon Slayer was a Matthew Broderick, Michelle Pfeiffer movie of the early 80s.
No, that's not Dragon Slayer. That's something else. I can't remember the name right now. I'm sorry. You are wrong, my friend.
Okay. It happens every 57 years. So don't worry about it.
But I know what you're talking about, and that was, damn it, talk amongst yourselves.
Unfortunately, that genre was a little lost on me. But I liked Broderick in those years. I don't recall him in anything like that. But that
this was well before Ferris. Oh, Lady Hawk.
Lady Hawk. That's it.
Thank
That's
you,
what I was
Scott.
trying to think of.
Lady
Yes.
Dragon Slayer was a Quaid movie, I think.
I thought Dragon Slayer had McNichol in it.
Who the hell cares?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Dragon Slayer. Hold on a second. Dragon Slayer. Again,
so Dan,
helping me
where
out.
can I don't know if I asked you this question already. Please forgive me because I'm old and senile and it's way past my bedtime. I'm supposed to be eating oatmeal right now and putting my Depends on. Where can people find your books if they want to buy them?
I'm on Amazon, so pretty much that's the basis. But I do have a website where people can grab signed copies. It's very easy. It's djvhorror.com. So just my initials and then horror.com. It's a nice little website I set up last year, and I keep all my books in stock. Actually, Talia's are up now for pre-order. All my books come with all cool swag stuff. Like right next to my computer, I have all like magnets and bookmarks and everything I throw in. Because again, I do truly appreciate my followers and my supporters. So I always try to make it a little worthwhile for them to spend the extra money and not get it from Amazon and getting it directly from me. But mainly Amazon and then my website. That's where you can get all my stuff.
Sweet. Emmett from Haven from Heroes says Dragon Slayer was McNichol. It looks like you are right, Mr. Ridgely. And hello, Emmett. I hope you're well. I hope you're off at your 911 center saving lives like you do. Great guy.
Yeah, Emmett's awesome.
Gabe says he's sorry he's late. Oh wait, there was also that dragon picture that had Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey. That was actually
Rain of Fire.
Rain of Fire. That will.
Yeah.
Frank wants to know will you have copies of Talia 2 for sale next weekend?
I hope so. My shipment should be in. It says on the 3rd. So I hope that they come in time. If not, then you have to suffer, Frank. You have to wait till Scares That Care in end of March.
Scares That Care. That's a great show. It's to help kids, I think, from what I understand.
Yeah, it helps. It helps a few people. I think it's burn victims, children, and I believe breast cancer survivors. Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely some kind of
Oh,
cancer
yeah.
survivor.
We know people from Scares That Care.
Yeah,
But
Scares
Frank,
a great
doesn't-
organization.
I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to jump on you. Frank, there will be plentiful Blu-rays and DVDs of Mr. Hush for people to get signed by both me and Brian O'Halloran. I'm a whore. Don't mind me.
That's where we all are.
I just want to cover gas money. That's all I really care about. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I haven't whored myself out tonight. Neither
Yes,
has
you
Scott. What? Not yet. Anyway.
Show us some nip, Joe. Show us some nip. Getting to that point of this. Da-na-na. See, Dan, this is the train wreck I invited you to when we were doing that signing together. You should have ran for your life.
Now, let me tell you, if I was getting paid, it'd be a different story.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again,
I appreciate it.
Just shout out, your books can be on Amazon, and what's your website again?
It's djvhorror.com. And yeah, you can find me there. I have a newsletter as well, which is linked on that website. So if you want to email me, my email contact information's there. I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. Facebook is my main one because I'm pretty old compared to some of these younger kids. And like I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, but I'm old man yelling at clouds on Facebook still. So
David, you heard that, right? He's considered the old man on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, it's like an old people one still. Like I feel like all the younger kids, there's like a million different other social media apps. I have no idea. So I stick to the good old Facebook.
Yeah.
I literally am only on Facebook. I'm not on any of the other stuff. But
yeah, the other ones suck, especially Twitter. Twitter sucks. But
I'm sorry. I think in bigger than 48 characters. Is it 48 still, or is it bigger than
No,
that?
it's
I think
more
it's
than
100,
that.
144 or 100 and something.
Ooh,
But now you got to pay for a check mark. So
Yeah, monthly.
wow.
Havens for Heroes. That is some library behind Dan. Yeah, that's friggin' impressive as hell.
Yeah, those are my babies. I had this when I had my basement finished last year. I had these bookshelves built because I'm not handy and they'd be falling over if I did it. So I had all my books in crates, and I took them all out and put them up for display. And my wife finally got them out of the living room, to some of them, so I was able to display them all down here. And it goes still. Like there's more to it.
Oh, sweet.
Wow.
It's just a good one. I read good amount of them too, so you could take my TV before you could take my books.
Smart man.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it shows that you're a smart man. Well, hopefully next Saturday after we say hello to everybody out at the con, we can grab a burger and throw cheese at Brian. With that being said, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've only known you for about 2 or 3 months now, but we've become quick friends. You're a great guy. Thank you again for being kind to my daughter. If she reaches out and asks you a question, you could start charging her once you get past the 5th time. Again, thank you for joining us. Everybody check out Daniel's work. He's a great writer. He's got an enormous future, and someday he's going to be too big to do this stupid little show. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel J. Volpe.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great night. All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Daniel.
you.
I'll see you next week, David.
You got it, pal. Be well.
You too.
Wow, that was a very, very interesting show. We got a lot. I mean, if we got paid by the word tonight, we'd be doing very well. So, Mr. Schiaffo, how the hell? I'm going back to. Was it last week that Wendy and her girlfriend Amy was on the show, or was that 2 weeks ago? You were on that one, right? How in the hell was that hot thing flirting with you?
Did I miss something?
It makes me feel...
Apparently that went over your head. The 3 times she said Schiaffo sexy.
Yeah, and then she actually made...
Wait a minute.
She actually made a cum reference. She wanted to make him cum or something.
Wait a minute.
You come on. You
Oh.
can't be that oblivious.
Those words were said verbatim?
And
Very,
then again,
very, very
this
close.
Is gonna be, Wendy's show is going to be this Thursday evening at 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
We may need to
Eastern
make
time.
an 11 p.m. show based on that, but like Delilah
just to
After
make-
I
Dark.
remember them being really funny and being very kind to me, but I don't remember
No.
any hardcore flirting.
Go back and watch it again. It's in the first. It's in the first 10 minutes, and
Hey.
apparently Gabe thinks you're smoking. So, what else do you need?
Well, that is really kind, and those women are they're probably both blind in one eye.
If they're both blind in one eye, they still have two good work.
That makes one. That makes
one
one
good set,
funny
yeah.
woman.
I would have been like walking on sunshine, man. I was a hustle.
Yeah, they didn't
Well,
say it
no,
about us.
I remember a lot of
Yeah.
kindness. I just don't remember it to be.
I think she literally called me a hideous mook, as I recall. But
No, it was Hideous Old Mook.
hideous old mook, yes.
Okay.
Not a hideous chud.
Hideous chud. Whatever works for you.
That sounds like Ernie.
So
Well, that's really sweet. I knew they were being kind, but I didn't think it was. See, that's what happens when you get to a point where your radar is down for that kind of thing, I guess. Thank you for reminding me or telling me, because it went.
David, he immediately after the show, he's going back to that program.
yes, we're gonna get one extra click on the archives. We'll know it's Schiaffo. Now, we'll do a show next week if that's okay with you guys. But then the week after that is Super Bowl Sunday, so I think we'll let people enjoy the Super Bowl.
No, wait a minute. Next Sunday is my birthday.
Oh, do you want to have a Joe Ridgely birthday show, or do you want to have the day off? Okay.
No,
so-
if Scott can't have a birthday show, I'm not having a birthday show.
What do you mean Scott can't have a birthday show?
Well, no, it fell on his birthday and something happened. I don't recall. So if Scott,
I thought I had people on here wishing Scott a happy birthday on his birthday. You chowderhead.
Yeah, wait a minute. Am I wrong? Was we did do a nice birthday show, but was it actually on my birthday?
wasn't your birthday on a Sunday? And
Well, it was the 4th. It's December 4th. Well, I was getting back to so Super Bowl Sunday, no good. And I think the next weekend, I know I will be in Florida, I think.
Okay, so we'll see you
So-
sometime. We'll see you sometime again in 2023.
Yeah.
let's do a show next weekend. And
After next weekend, it'll be 2 weeks off for me.
Okay. Well,
2 weeks. Damn.
well, he's doing.
I was saying,
Who's going to do Super Bowl Sunday, Joe? Nobody's
Super
gonna
Bowl,
watch
and
the
then the
Super Bowl
following weekend is, I'm pretty sure that's Pensacola.
Sunday. Well, I can't see that emoji. What is she saying?
Yeah, I think that's a shrug kind of thing.
Like, oh. Hi, Luciana. She is She is by far one of our most beautiful watch. What do you call it? Watchers, contributors, viewers.
Yeah,
You're
she's the
right.
most interesting.
Yeah.
And she is a beautiful lady. Absolutely.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
If I wasn't a sad, messed up, middle-aged hack, I would certainly flirt with Luciana. She would probably come on here and flirt with Scott, which is the sad part for me. But
Hey,
Well,
man,
I-
I'll tell you.
Hey, he's the stud, man. We've got nothing on Scott.
What
So.
the hell?
Especially with the new lighting and the hair and the vampire thing.
Well,
and-
it's like that Tom Savini thing is starting
there
to
you
work.
go. That's it. It's the Savini thing.
well, there you go. And he's like 393, so you got a long time to go with. Thank you. I'm cute.
Thank you. I'm cute until I start talking.
What do you got? That what was the nanny? What was the nanny's name? Do you have
Fran
the
Drescher?
Yeah, do you have the Fran Drescher thing going on? No, I've watched a lot of her videos on her, Facebook page, and I didn't notice anything.
I mean, I remember Fran Drescher from Hollywood Nights more than I do the nanny.
Hollywood, I don't know what that is.
Oh, you've never seen the movie Hollywood Nights?
I don't think so.
Tony Danza and who was the cat that was on here that was in the original Batman movie?
Oh, Robert Wall.
Yeah, he was in it too.
Oh, sweet.
With Fran Drescher in the back of a. Oh, you have to see
What's
Hollywood
the
Nights.
premise of that?
It's
Scott apparently didn't see it either.
it's kind of like what was that first Ron Howard movie?
American Graffiti?
Yes, it's kind of that premise.
Wait. What did you say was his first movie?
American Graffiti?
Well, wait a minute. No, that's not Ron Howard.
No, it's kind of like a
it's
cross
Harrison
between,
Ford.
well, Harrison Ford and, yeah, it was kind of a cross between American Graffiti and Porky's.
Wait,
Imagine
Scott,
that.
Ron Howard is in American Graffiti.
Well, wait a minute. I don't know if we're talking about Ron Howard, the actor, or the director.
They're the same guy.
It's like the difference between
Well,
the
if you say
color
his
orange
movie
and
was
the fruit.
directed was some car movie, wasn't it? Before Night Shift. Forget it. You're talking about him as an actor. I thought you were talking about him as a director.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yes, as an actor. Yes, Ron Howard, American
Yeah, American
Graffiti.
Graffiti, I guess, is his first film.
Yeah.
Right. So it was kind of like a cross between American Graffiti and Porky's, or Animal House, even.
Oh, wow. I know
A
I've
cross
heard the
between-
name.
So
I've heard
Hollywood
the-
Nights, it's like Tony Danza, Robert Wool, Fran Drescher. There's like a ton of people you will recognize, and you will laugh your ass off.
Where can you find that one? Is it like on Tubi?
I saw it like 20 years ago, so I'm not sure. The famous line from Fran Drescher to Robert Wool, I think his name was Kurt. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this, but the famous line is, Kurt, did you come? Come on, Kurt, you didn't. It's a famous line of the movie with them.
I haven't seen it.
So, yeah, Hollywood Nights.
The other night, I was up all night watching on AMC, I think it was, Duel, which is Spielberg's first movie with Dennis Weaver. Really cool movie. And Schlock. Did you guys see Schlock? I think that's George Lucas's first movie. It's somebody really famous's first movie.
Wow.
About a Bigfoot-like character. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, actually.
So let's see.
The
Led by
Schlock
their comedic leader Turk, the Hollywood Nights Car Club race hell throughout Beverly Hills on Halloween night 1965.
Oh,
Wow.
So yeah, you guys will probably enjoy it for what it is. If Fran was in Dr. Detroit,
I remember. Was Dr.
Wow, I
Detroit
remember
Chevy
that.
Chase?
No, that's Dan Aykroyd's first film
Dan Aykroyd, okay.
as himself, yeah.
we get
sweet.
the gist.
Gabe is a cunning linguist.
Yes.
Did either one of you fellows see that Marilyn Monroe thing, Blonde?
Oh, the movie.
So.
Yeah.
The new movie that just came out. No, I didn't see that. My wife and I were actually waiting to watch that together.
Any good?
Wow, it's so dark, very moving, but so dark. I kind of thought I had a good idea about what her real story was, and it was sad. She had a very sad story and life,
yeah.
But that movie is real. But it's dark. If a lot of that is based in truth, it's horrible. It's deplorable, really. And it's presented in a very interesting visual way. It's almost like a Hitchcock. It's almost like a horror movie.
I got to ask about one more movie, just because the Marilyn Monroe thing kind of. Did you see the Rat Pack movie made for HBO about 20-something years ago?
No,
or 30 years ago?
No.
Ray Liotta
Plays Sinatra?
plays Sinatra.
Yeah.
And that's worth watching if you can find it, is the thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's also
Is that old already?
Oh, it's got to be 30 years old.
Really?
It's a really great movie. Just the two of us. And it's about Paul McCartney and John Lennon meeting right before John Lennon dying. And it's a fictional story about how they were just about to get their guitars together and go and perform on Saturday Night Live in the 70s. Just a great movie.
Is that the one with Aidan
Quinn?
Right.
What was the name of that, David?
I don't know that that's all that fictional.
Oh, I thought it was totally fictional.
No, there's a story. They were at the Dakota when they were goofing around on Saturday Night Live about getting them together for $300 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually
Just the two of us. It's called Joe.
Just the two of us. Thank
that
you.
is a very fine movie, and it's really bittersweet because that was kind of like their first real recollection, reconciliation in a genuine way after the Beatles broke up.
Sweet. That's well, with that being said,
That's friggin' deep.
my family friend was around the corner when Lennon. Oh, okay. Was your family friend the guy who shot him by any chance?
Did you ever see that Jared Leto film where he plays Chapman?
No, I haven't seen.
Oh
that.
my God, Leto is, I don't know, that guy is otherworldly. That guy is, I mean, he can't be any better looking. He's an amazing musician. He's an amazing actor. The guy's just like steeped in talent.
You know what's so funny that you say that? I couldn't, if you held a gun to my head, if you asked me a Jared Leto movie or performance that I absolutely adored, I couldn't come up with one.
Requiem for a Dream.
I haven't seen it.
You got to see this. I think it's called 39 or 38. It's a numeric number is the title, and I forget why, but it's pertinent to the assassination with Mark Chapman. But you wouldn't even know it's Jared Leto. He must have put on like 40 pounds to do it, and he just gets completely lost in the role.
The only thing
Chapter 27.
The only thing I knew him from was American Psycho, when Christian Bale, while listening to Huey Lewis
in the news,
buries an axe in his head. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Another episode in the books. Thank you guys for being my wingmen and being such dear friends. I want to thank Daniel Volpe for being on tonight. He was extraordinarily interesting. Please check out his work. He's a great writer, and you won't be disappointed if you get one of his books. Scott, is there anything you want to share before we go tonight?
What is that? What is the name of that show? Is it the Moist Microphone? What is it?
The Sticky Microphone.
Okay, I just want to. Oh my God. Okay, well, thank you, Wendy and Amy, for the kindness, because I didn't recall it being that kind, and then that's kind because you're seeing me in vampire lighting here. So.
Oh wait, awesome. Hold on a second.
It's not the Moist mic. It should be the Moist mic.
Damn it, Scott! Don't give them ideas.
Joe, I don't know if you can get this up quickly, but I'm going to send you something.
I'm going to be 47 next week. I cannot get a whole lot of things up quickly.
You can get anything up quickly. But that is a picture of the young lady who was flirting with you.
Give me one
last week. Any luck?
Yeah, I got it. Give me 1 second to get it loaded.
That's what I said to my wife last night.
Because it's gonna be loaded.
Give me 4.5 years to get loaded.
Aren't they both married?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
I don't know.
I thought somebody said husband.
I'm just a poor servant.
Maybe boyfriend.
No, I'm sure I heard husband.
No.
That's what your brain tries to.
So this is one of the young ladies, Scott, that was flirting with you last weekend.
Yeah, that's Amy.
Or last week. That's Amy. Put your tongue back in your mouth, Scott.
Check, please. So that beautiful, all kidding aside, that beautiful young lady and the very, very beautiful and talented Wendy Zier will be on Thursday nights, every other Thursday, correct?
Yes, and also James L. Edwards, who is an indie director and writer.
Yes, that's awesome.
Involved with the show.
So that'll be 10 p.m.
I definitely know that cat from somewhere. I know the name.
Oh,
James L. Edwards?
Yeah, he has a great reputation in the independent film community. With that being said, thank you everybody for watching us tonight. Thank you, Daniel, for coming on. You're a wonderful guest. We will be back next Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern with some kind of train wreck of a show, like the previous 9,246 that we've done already. With that being, is there anything you want to put on? Love you too, Luciana. Be well. Is there anything, Joe, that you need to drop about the Indie Escape Network before we wrap?
We got some great stuff coming up. Obviously, we have Wendy's show premiering Thursday night. We have Generation Movie that is doing the whole James Bondathon thing, so that's cool as well. We have all our network shows here right now. We're adding to them constantly. Obviously, we have David Lee Madison's The End of the Night up there in the upper left-hand corner. Generation Movie with JW and Rich. Symbolistic I'm not going to go through all of them. You guys can read. It's all good.
Where's
But,
Magic Monday? Where's CJ?
so anyway, we can go to all our social media pages: Facebook, what the hell's that one? TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And check out David Lee Madison's The End of the Night on Facebook.
Hey, CJ still is part of the network, right?
So, you're breaking up, brother. I don't know.
CJ is still part of the network.
I think I don't know if there might be something going on that we're not aware of, Scott. So I would.
So we're trying to work on things, Scott. David, wrap it up.
What?
He hosted last week. I don't understand.
With that being said, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Joe and Scott, for being my wingmen. And remember, no man is a failure who has friends. We'll see you next week.